She marched right up to my family, kids and all, and told us to leave her beach immediately, or she'd call the cops. The funny thing is, she had no idea I own the entire coastline. Let's rewind. A few years ago, my wife and I scraped together every penny we had and bought our dream property. A beautiful, secluded stretch of beachfront land. We weren't developers. We just wanted a private escape for our family. For a while, it was perfect. We built a small, modest cottage, and our kids grew up with sand between their toes. The only downside? The neighboring community, Seaside Estates, was a high-end HOA development full of entitled residents. And the self-appointed queen of this kingdom was a woman we'll call Karen. From the moment we moved in, Karen made it her mission to make our lives difficult. Our property wasn't part of her precious HOA, which seemed to infuriate her. She saw us as outsiders, invaders on her pristine coastline. We'd find her peering at us through binoculars from her deck, muttering into her phone. We tried to be neighborly, waving when we saw her, but she'd just glare back, as if our very existence was an offense. It started with small things. She'd complain about the noise from our kids laughing and playing in the waves. She'd leave passive-aggressive notes on our gate about our unsightly beach toys. One time, she even reported us to the county for having a bonfire, claiming we were a fire hazard, even though we were using a designated, perfectly legal fire pit hundreds of feet from any structure. Each time, we tried to calmly explain to the authorities that this was our private land and we were following all the rules. They'd apologize for the inconvenience and leave, which only seemed to make Karen angrier. Her obsession grew. We started noticing Seaside Estates residents wandering further and further onto our property, acting as if they owned the place. They'd set up their umbrellas and coolers right in front of our cottage. When we'd politely informed them that this was private property, the response was always the same. Karen said this whole beach is part of the community. It was clear she was spreading misinformation, telling her neighbors they had a right to our land. We put up more prominent private property and no trespassing signs, but they were repeatedly torn down or vandalized. We suspected Karen, but we couldn't prove it. The escalation hit a boiling point one sunny Saturday. We had invited some friends over for a barbecue. The kids were building sandcastles, the grill was smoking, and life was good. That's when we saw her. Karen, dressed in a ridiculously large sun hat and designer sunglasses, was marching down the beach towards us, flanked by two of her HOA cronies. She didn't hesitate. She walked right into the middle of our family gathering. "This is your final warning," she announced, her voice dripping with condescension. "You are trespassing on Seaside Estates Community Beach. I've been patient, but my patience has run out. Pack up your things and leave now, or I will have the sheriff remove you." My friends looked at us, confused. My wife took a deep breath, ready to argue, but I put a hand on her arm. I knew this was the moment. The constant harassment, the vandalism, the lies. It was all going to end today. I had been preparing for this. "Karen," I said, my voice calm and steady, "are you absolutely sure you want to do this?" She scoffed. "Oh, I'm sure. I have the HOA charter right here, which grants us access to this entire beachfront." She waved a binder in the air like a trophy. "Call the sheriff," I said with a smile. "Please, I insist." Her smug grin faltered for a second, confused by my confidence, but her ego quickly took over. She whipped out her phone and dramatically dialed 911, reporting a group of aggressive trespassers who were refusing to leave her private community beach. As we waited, she stood there, arms crossed, looking incredibly pleased with herself. Her friends were whispering behind her, already celebrating their victory. My friends and family were nervous. but I just winked at my wife and went back to flipping the burgers. I had spent months with my lawyer after the harassment started. I knew every single detail, every property line, every deed, and every ordinance by heart. What Karen didn't know was that I wasn't just a regular homeowner. Two sheriff's deputies finally arrived, looking tired and annoyed at having to deal with a beach dispute. Karen sprang into action, rushing to them and launching into a dramatic, tearful performance about how we were threatening her and refusing to leave her property. The deputies listened patiently, then turned to me. "Sir, what's your side of the story?" This was the part I'd been waiting for. I didn't say a word. Instead, I walked over to my beach bag and pulled out a thick, waterproof folder. I handed it to the lead deputy. Inside were the original property deeds, a professionally certified land survey map clearly marking my property lines, copies of the county tax records showing me as the owner of the entire parcel, and printouts of the multiple harassment complaints I had filed against Karen over the past year. The deputy's eyebrows shot up as he flipped through the documents. He looked at the survey map, then looked up at Karen's house, then back at our cottage. He then walked over to his partner, and they spoke in low voices. Karen was starting to look nervous. "What is that? What did you give him?" she demanded. The lead deputy walked back over, handing me my folder. He looked directly at Karen. "Ma'am," he said, his voice now stern. "According to these official county records, not only are you on this man's property right now, but it appears your entire Seaside Estates Community Beach Access Path is also built on his land. You are the one who is trespassing." The color drained from Karen's face. Her jaw went slack. Her cronies behind her started backing away slowly. That's impossible," she stammered. "The developers told us—" The deputy cut her off. "Ma'am, the documents don't lie. Furthermore," he continued, gesturing to my folder, "I have several documented complaints here about you harassing this family. And you just admitted to calling 911 with a false report. That is a misdemeanor." Karen was speechless. She just stood there, sputtering, as the deputy explained that if she or any other resident of Seaside Estates set foot on my property again, they would be arrested. He told her she had 5 minutes to remove herself from my land before he cited her. Defeated and humiliated, she turned without another word and trudged back up the beach, her ridiculous sun hat seeming to droop in shame. My family and friends erupted in cheers. The burgers had never tasted so good. The story doesn't end there. The next week, my lawyer sent a cease and desist letter to the entire HOA board, along with a bill for the unauthorized use of my land for their beach path. The HOA, facing a massive lawsuit, had no choice. They ended up having to pay me a hefty sum to purchase an easement for the path they had illegally built. And guess what? The HOA raised their community fees significantly to cover the cost, and I heard Karen was so unpopular after the incident that she was voted off the board and eventually sold her house. We haven't had a problem since. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply knowing the facts and letting justice do the rest. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this little slice of justice, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss the next story I have for you. See you next time.